Welcome to another episode of Temporary Australians. It's a beautiful day for riding and a beautiful day with an action-packed show. Greg, what's coming up today?
Mate, there's a bike down in Hobart in a custom bike shop. They call it Pimp My Ride. It was actually signed by the guy.
Exhibit.
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he signed his headline.
Greg's down with his bad self, isn't he? That also Dancing with the Stars. You know, I am a great dancer. If you remember,
I do.
When I won that dancing show.
Well, mate, we were looking for some inspiration after you did that, and we found Matt, Mingay and Lukey on their bikes, dancing with their bikes. Amazing stuff.
What a ballet.
Also today, we go on the Veterans MC Anzac Day Ride. We talk to Kellie Buckley, editor of Australian Motorcycle News. We discover what powder puff racing is all about. We go to the Parkville Tavern east of Perth. Homer talks about Marge and Oztrikes. And we catch up with Mark Hinchcliffe from Motorbike Writer.
On behalf of the Veterans Motorcycle Club, I'd like to thank everyone for turning out for today's ride.
We're at the Veterans Clubhouse down at Mingay in Sydney, and today we're here for the Anzac Day run. I'm talking to Gunner. Gunner, this is a really good turnout. Has this event been popular in the motorcycle community?
It has for a number of years, but this is only the second year that we've run it. Last year, no one was doing an Anzac Day run as far as we were aware, so we decided to put one on, being military veterans ourselves. And the event was well attended in spite of the weather. This year, the weather looks great, and as you can see from the motorcycles coming in, it looks like we're going to have a good day.
Well, it is a very significant day in Australian culture, remembering the Anzacs, and particularly this year being 100 years of celebration of the landing of Gallipoli. Why do you think it's important for the motorcycling community to participate in that celebration?
Anzac Day is one of the things that really gives me a sense of pride in being an Australian, that not only the military veterans, but the general populace of this country seem to have a great respect for those who've paid the price of preserving this country and making it as it is.
So veterans, you're obviously, you're Australia-wide. Obviously a lot of military clubs around now.
For so long a time, being a migrant to this country, being a Vietnam veteran, I was completely isolated. I didn't know any other Vietnam veterans till I came here. In the military, you're conditioned to learn to trust the people around you and to depend on the people that are around you. And those are people that you never, ever, ever leave behind. And we just don't find that ethos elsewhere in society. We do find it in the motorcycle culture.
Lucky, it was a really good turnout today.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. It's a lot better than last year. Last year we had a bit of rain and we only had about 150 bikes. This year we got about 250 to 300.
Surprising to you that it's such a well-supported event?
I don't think so. I think it's a very good event, and now that we've got it, I can't remember who had it before. I believe Hell's Angels had it for a long time, and now that we've received it, yeah, we do it, and it's a real worthwhile cause. I think it's only right that a military club should do the Anzac Day Ride.
It was a great day for it. The sun was out. It was awesome.
You've been on this before?
No, this is the first time with the vets, but yeah, no, it was great.
Anything, you know, involving with the military clubs, you know, it's a great day to go out and support those guys and you know, what they've done in the past and for what they do in the future. So, no, definitely.
So Anzac Day has a special place for you and your club?
Yeah, 100%. You know, we support all military clubs, 100% anything that they do, and I've got a lot of family that's in the military and you know, great grandparents and things like that. A few of our members are actually ex-serving military members, so that have ended up joining with the fire brigade and stuff like that. So it's something that we do hold close to our hearts and definitely want to support these guys 100%.
Tell us what you thought of the ride.
I thought it was actually amazing to see the amount of bikes out on the road all together, and everybody stayed together and as a pack, and it was really good.
I couldn't believe how many bikes there actually were here today, and it's nice to see all the veterans getting together and all their families getting together and going for a ride for a good cause.
People see a motorcycle, particularly if it's a loud motorcycle, and a guy with a patch on his back, and there have been so many decades now of that image being portrayed as a guy who's a gangster, who's out to burn your house or steal your money or sell your kids drugs or something. And the fact of the matter is, we're just not like that. Most of the bikers I know aren't like that. I do hope that people do begin to realize that we're just like everybody else. We just prefer riding motorcycles to golf and fishing.
Matt and Lukey, very exciting show. How did it come together? Did you have to choreograph it, or has it just happened?
No, Matt and I used to ride together a lot years and years ago, so we spent many years riding apart, and coming back now and riding together, I guess you just don't forget things. It's great to ride with Matt. He's a skilled rider. It's good to ride in the same area as him.
We both know exactly what each other's about to do from the characteristics of what the bike, and we've both been riding for that long, so it's good fun. He's one of the top riders in Australia, so I've got every bit of faith in him, so it's awesome.
I've never actually seen a show with the two of you in it before, and I just didn't realise how those stunts are just amazing. When you're doing it in close proximity to another bike, it looks incredibly scary, but you guys seem really comfortable with it.
Yeah, no, look, like Matt said, it's really calculated. We've got every bit of faith in each other's ability, and there's margin for error. It might not look like it, but there always is.
Yeah, it's usually a couple of centimetres, so it's
oh, good. Yeah, that's great.
We don't mind riding together. We don't do it very often. We probably do it about 2 or 3 times a year. But when we do, we play up for the crowd, and the crowd go nuts for it.
Well, it's good to see you got people out of the audience, young people out of the audience to participate.
Shows like this, we're really close to the crowds. You feed off them, we don't just feed off each other. It's great. The crowds get involved, and it hypes you up. It gets you really excited. To see a smile on a kid's face is awesome.
The little fans are what makes it for us, especially with like a Hot Wheels as a kids brand. To grow our fan base like that and involve the kids in the crowd, like the kids will go home and talk about it forever. So we can do that more often, the better.
I'm here with Mark Hinchcliffe at the National Hog Rally at the Show and Shine on the foreshore at Cairns. Thousands of people have turned up to show their support for motorcycling, and Mark is one of those people who's come to prominence with his writings on Motorbike Writer.
I was with News Limited, so I was with the mainstream media, and I'm a professional journalist, so I'm used to dealing in news. And when I left News Limited, I was writing for magazines and a little bit frustrated because you're only writing 1 or 2 features a month, and I had all these stories pouring out of me. And then, of course, the Vlad laws took off, and I started a petition. I started writing news stories. I started representing the motorcycle rider who wasn't being represented in the mainstream media.
You're obviously well known in Queensland, but it's really been the Vlad laws that have seen your articles spread around the country, and they've really crystallised, I think, a lot of the feeling in the mainstream of the motorcycling community up here. I mean, there's been a lot of opposition to the laws, but the police have targeted everybody.
The approach from some of the police officers have been a little overzealous, and I think it's just time that they said, look, we're sorry, we've stuffed up, we're now trying to do the right thing. Just because of what you wear or what you ride, you shouldn't be intimidated or harassed. Look, when it all happened, the police were investigating 12 clubs with some associated links with criminal activities. 12 clubs. All of a sudden, overnight, 26 clubs have been declared criminal organisations, and the thing is, they haven't given any evidence, they haven't justified why they put those clubs in there. Tomorrow they could put the Cairns Bowls Club in.
Well, hopefully not the Cairns Bowls Club, but I'm not too fussed on Toowoomba Bowls Club.
Yeah, let's get rid of those, they're anarchists.
So how does it feel having, I guess, being in a role that you're in now as editor, when you've got such illustrious people that have passed by, icons of the motorcycling community like Ken Wooten, for example?
It is a big responsibility, but it's one that I'm really, really proud to do. And it's such a strong brand in Australian motorcycling, and it's something that I'm really dedicated to upholding.
Most people wouldn't realise just how hard you've got to work to do that, being at Fortnightly Mag.
Yeah, well, every 10 days we're 150 pages, so it's 15 pages a day of not just creating those pages, but creating the content, writing, laying out, subbing. It takes a lot of our time.
So do you get any sleep?
Sleep's overrated.
You'd recommend being an editor to anybody?
It's really rewarding. You work really hard, and you have that physical product in your hand to go, oh, look what we just did. It's great.
Do you think being a woman and being editor of such an illustrious magazine is an encouragement to women to perhaps get on a bike rather than just being on the back?
I hope so. And I think the fact that I'm not 6 foot tall, I'm short, and I think that's where a lot of women find their hurdles is the height. It always puzzles me why people make a decision on what bike they own based on when they're stopped, because motorcycling isn't about being stopped. So you don't have to have 2 feet flat in the ground all the time to really enjoy motorcycling, and it just takes a little bit of forethought and a bit of planning on where you're pulling up and things like that, and you really can ride anything.
We came across what is possibly the cutest looking motorcycle I've seen in a long time. Bianca, tell us about your bike.
It's a YZ 490 dirt track sidecar. I've been riding it for like 15 years now.
So tell us about the colour. Is that deliberate or did you buy it that way?
No, it wasn't bought this way, but the colour's just, we've got to stand out. An all-female team, so we've got to stand out somehow in the crowd.
Well, it's true. It's probably quite a rare thing, isn't it, to have a female crew racing?
Yes, it is. But you've got to try and encourage more females to do the sport.
So how do the guys cope with you guys, when you beat them particularly?
Some like it, but it's a bit of a stir, so you've got to stir them up, don't you? So, yeah, no, it's good fun.
So tell us about the amount of mechanical work.
She's got a fairly good mechanical background, if it does start making noises, then we stop straight away, and so no real damage happens. And generally, it's pretty reliable though. It's been quite a good bike.
Have you fallen in love with racing?
Yeah, I have. I suppose I started riding when I was 6 and just sort of gone from there. So anything that's got 2 wheels or 3 wheels, you can ride.
This bike that was in heavy duty, what's its history?
We basically built it here from scratch. We have our own frame jig and our own frame benders and the correct materials and the process to do so to build frames, and then we ICV, which is individually construct. And that then goes through the transport people and engineers, and then they're roadworthy and ADR compliant. Obviously people like to change things after they leave here, and that's totally up to the person that, you know, they may buy a motorcycle and it might have a quiet exhaust system on it or an air cleaner on it or a set of handlebars, but that's out of our control after it leaves here, and that comes down to the personal choice of the customer. This bike here, it started off with a flat sheet of perforated metal, and I think it just started as the air cleaner was starting to cover, and then it turned into the whole bike. But it's 140 cubic inch, 6-speed, inverted front end, all the digital mirrors, so you've got all your readout, your speedo and everything in your mirrors, which anybody that rides a Harley Davidson knows they've got to look down at the speedo. It's great to be able to look up and have your face in the road and be able to see what's actually going on your bike with the speed and tacho and oils and things like that.
Now you almost got someone to take this off your hands, I believe.
Yes, it was actually used as a promotional tool for exhibit from Mr. X. I think he's from Pimp My Ride. He really wanted to take it back to the States. The problem that you have in Tasmania is that once you export something out of Tasmania, there's a fair cost on it to go to the States.
Well, obviously the bike being here, it means he didn't take it, but he left you something to remember him by.
Yes, he signed the headlight, and the bike was started up on stage and ridden off stage, and he was very, very impressed with the mechanical side of the bike and the fabrication of it, which they've never seen anything like it in the world. And the bike was actually invited to go to Sturgis last year to be in the World Championships of Motorcycle Building.
All right, the stopover at Cessnock on the to Trike Ride we've been going on, and one of the riders that has been on this day trip with us is Homer. The most important question, Homer, where's Marge?
At home today. She's she's gone to a christening actually, and I decided to come up here and do the ride with Johan.
Tell us how you got your nickname.
I used to eat and drink too much, so the people said, "Oh, you look like Homer," so that stuck.
How long have you been riding Trike?
12 years. I got my Trike in 2003, and we've been riding ever since.
Now you're riding a loaner today. Do you want to tell us about it?
This is Johan's boom trike from Germany. It's an automatic, 2-litre Peugeot engine in it, and it rides beautifully. Tiptronics has a sports mode in it, and as you can see, it's 3-seater, so you can take a couple other people with you and just enjoy the ride. Beautiful.
You haven't found any difficulty adjusting to driving a trike after riding a bike?
No. The first time you just got to remember that you don't lean and you have to steer it.
Now what's the most enjoyable part of trike riding for you?
Just the people I met, the travels. We just come back from Tasmania in February. It was just a great experience to travel around Australia on these machines. We've been to Alice Springs, Johan and I, just recently for the Ulysses AGM, 6,000 Ks in 3 to 6 days, so we did pretty well.
So tell us about the Parkville Tavern. Why is that popular with bikers in Perth?
Parkville Tavern is a motorcycle-friendly tavern. These days, with all the barrage of anti-biking material in the media, tavern owners have started to wonder whether it's best policy to be hospitable towards motorcyclists. And the police have also used liquor licensing laws to try and exclude bikers from pubs. But Parkville Tavern is happy to have us. They've welcomed us. They've done free food for everybody, and it's a magnificent old historic hotel, as you can see. It's in the middle of nowhere, and there's about 3 different ways you can get here on beautiful twisty roads.
It seems like it's a very popular venue. There's a lot of bikers that come here and a lot of families.
Yeah, a whole range of people. We've sort of focused very much on the family and the happy, safe, friendly environment. We've put a lot of work into that, and I guess we're open to anyone who happy to come and enjoy the atmosphere, I suppose.
Well, a lot of motorcycling people, they keep talking about venues that won't have them there. So it's great actually for bikers to be able to come and bring their families and go for a ride into the hills.
It's a great place to come for a ride on their bikes. Quite often, especially Saturdays and Sundays, they pull the motorbike out of the shed and come and have a steak sandwich and go home. So and that's what we do here. Like I said, it's quite a sight actually, seeing all the bikes lined up out the front.
Now that was an interesting change up, mate, getting mini Mingay.
Yeah, my little Madzy Evil, my little son. He's I think Dad's his biggest fan, and he's my biggest fan. So he watches everything I do and just always wants to do it. And to have him out here doing his first big event with me at 7 years old and his little CRF, he loves it, and he loves his little spikes, which he had to earn. Probably see him a few more times.
Yeah, the crowd really seemed to get into the whole mix of all of that. It was just wonderful to watch.
Yeah, look, it's awesome, and for me, it's great to even watch Madzy. It's funny, like you see the young kids getting into it, and obviously being Matt Mingay's child, it was inevitable. So no, it's really cool. Watching people react to having him out there, and he does such a good little job.
Well, maybe this is the future of stunt riding. You guys breed children who do stunt riding as a family, and then you bring both families together.
Yeah, he's got to pump one out now, so see how it goes.
Go easy, the missus already putting enough pressure on me.
My understanding is that the club began right around early 1990s, and it started off as an advert that someone put in a Melbourne newspaper. A Vietnam veteran who loved to ride motorcycles, who was just looking to find some other people that were Vietnam veterans and also shared his interest in motorbikes. And it started as a very loosely knit association and just grew until it eventually became the Vietnam Veterans Motorcycle Club. About 2 years ago, we recognized that there were younger men coming from other conflicts who were coming back to Australia and experiencing the same things that we experienced as Vietnam vets when we got back. And so we changed the name to the Veterans Motorcycle Club and opened it up to men from other conflicts.
Look, it's just going leaps and bounds. We've got the younger blokes coming along and getting on board, and it really is good to see.
Is it limited to veterans, or is it now open to other people who just ride?
No, we got other people that ride. They're not fully patched, but they do the same thing as what we do. They seem to enjoy riding with vets, and we've got 60 odd members in our club, and there's quite a few who are military and quite a few who aren't. Just like-minded, like being on bikes and enjoying themselves.
What is the attraction for veterans, you think, to military clubs?
We got blokes that are still very ill, mentally badly scarred, and they come into the club, and we sit down and talk. We all been there, done that, and if we can help, we help as much as what we can with them. And yeah, it's good. It really is good. It's something I wish I had in the earlier years when I come back from Vietnam, and to me, it's just an absolute joy.
Do you think club life really does help people recover from the trauma of war?
Oh, it certainly does. I've been in a number of clubs and a number of other military clubs, but with veterans, I found my home. And it's as simple as that. I got a home.
That's a great story, that last one, that Anzac Ride. It's good for fellas to go and do something, you know, after they leave the forces and things like that.
Well, I think a lot of them feel that way, mate. It's like giving them a family, a home, somewhere to belong, and they have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, great story, Greg. Looking forward to catching up with you next week for another edition of Temporary Australians. Until then, shiny side up.
See ya.